yesterday was crazy in the Premier League. The day of the underdog, we've been calling it. Let's start with that game at Selhurst Park, Palace against Liverpool. Certainly in the first half, the way Liverpool were cut through, they were ripped apart by Crystal Palace, Gary, is going to give real encouragement, isn't it? Not just the result, but also the way that they defended. It's going to give such encouragement to others.
That's exactly the word that's been at sort of the top of my mind since yesterday. Encouragement, particularly for Arsenal, who are playing today, and they needed that. But you're right. I mean, Crystal Palace obviously have had a fantastic start to the season. They've got real threats going forward. But Liverpool, we've said it from the start of the season, in certain games, they have looked vulnerable. They have they have conceded chances. They've conceded goals. And you can't keep doing that, and particularly in difficult away games. I always think that if you're playing 12:30 on a Saturday as well, over here in the UK, that is one of the most challenging fixtures to sort of have for a top team, and Crystal Palace is a difficult place to go.
Well, Manchester United struggled, didn't they, at Brentford yesterday? It does feel like one step forward and two steps back for them. According to the BBC this morning, Sir Jim Ratcliffe is sticking with Ruben Amorim. Gary, where are your levels of faith right now? Is it going to be a situation that in a few months' time we'll look back and say, what took them so long? Or do you think faith in Amorim is still the way to go?
I'm very worried, Rebecca. There's no point in me sitting here and saying that I'm not. I think the levels of performance, the results, the substitutions. Yesterday, I think I said I saw something at the end of the Grimsby game that they lost in the Carabao Cup a couple of weeks ago, which was Mason Mount ending up at left wing back. Now, look, we admire managers who are resilient, who are sort of, if you like, stubborn around the system. We want them to stick to the plan. But when you've got Mason Mount playing at left back, you're going to look pretty stupid. And that's happened twice now. It can't happen. The first time I thought was unforgivable, and yesterday it happened again. He changes his back three and his back five every single game, and the performances and the results are just unacceptable. So I'm really, really worried. I would never go on television. I know how difficult a manager's job can be and say that a manager should be sacked, but I suspect that the hierarchy at Manchester United are going to want to see a turnaround very quickly.
Let's talk about the game later, Newcastle against Arsenal. I'm going to ask you about both teams. We'll start with Newcastle, struggling to score goals. How big a hole is Isak missing?
He is, but when you look at the fact that today they could play with Murphy, Elanga, Gordon, Voltemada, you think of that sort of strike force. You know, they've got goals in them, and the three in midfield, I think, is probably the best midfield in the country. I love their midfield, so they should be doing better in that respect. I can see why they've sort of struggled in the first few weeks of the season, but I think it will come good for Newcastle. Today will be an incredible atmosphere, and look, could be this sort of time of the year for Newcastle to make a statement. We know Arsenal find it difficult up here getting results.
Well, that's what I want to ask you about. They do come unstuck sometimes at St James's Park, but the gift that their former striker Eddie Nketiah gave them yesterday at Selhurst Park in order to close the gap today, Arsenal simply have to win, don't they?
Yeah, look, a lot of us have predicted Arsenal to win the league because we think they can go that step further. This is a big, big opportunity today. They must have been travelling up to Newcastle Saturday afternoon, just after Liverpool lose at Crystal Palace, and thinking, right, come on, here we go. This is it. This is our moment where we make a statement and we tell everybody in the league that we're serious about winning the trophy. You know, is Mikel Arteta under pressure from above to win a trophy, or are they just happy picking up the cash every single year that comes with being in Champions League places? You know, we asked the question last week, does he know how to win a title? Do the players know how to win a title? But today will tell us a lot about where they're at, because I think it's a game I feel really strongly about that they have to go and win.
It's going to be fascinating as ever. Thank you so much, Gary. We'll speak to you next week. Enjoy your day.
Rebecca.
Gary Neville joining us live there from St James's Park. Tim, interesting, Gary, saying, you know, can they win this league? Do they know how to win this league? Well, to win the league, you do still have to go away and win the game. And I know they're the away team today, not like last weekend when we were talking at FanFest about they're at home to Manchester, they got to go for it, and they didn't really. OK, the onus maybe isn't on them like it was last weekend, but they still got to go for it and try and win the game.
They do. They still have to go for it, win the game. It's going to be tough because Newcastle they're not playing very well, but that's a tough place to go. And we saw some of the highlights down the years. It's always a good game between these two teams. There's pressure. There's pressure on them to capitalize. It's one thing to keep pace, right? And so there was a gap, so you have to try and keep pace. Now that Liverpool lost, they've got to go again. They have to use this game, the same mentality that they had at City. Never mind tactics. The same mentality thinking we have to get something from this game. It has to be 3 points.
I mean, how big a factor is the Liverpool defeat yesterday in the minds of those Arsenal players in that dressing room today? The talk. We've all seen the behind-the-scenes access where Arteta is. Do you think he'll use that at all?
Yeah, the players will all know. They'll have been texting each other on their group chat. They know it's at stake, and they'll be reminding each other in the hotel, in the team meals, on the bus, definitely in the dressing room before they walk out.
So how will they play?
Well, they'll have to fight fire with fire, because to go St James's Park, that's a given. But they've got to turn their control of football into chances and goals. I read a lovely line with Arsenal. They've got the depth now. Have they got the devil? Have they got what it takes to go and get a win? We were talking on our production call this week where, can you imagine if Liverpool beat Palace and Arsenal lose to Newcastle, an 8-point gap? They can close the gap to 2 points. Start changing the narrative. All that cautious play and things last season goes away. Last season, they lost as many games as Liverpool, only 4 games lost, but they drew 14. So going to Newcastle today in a draw isn't a great result. Going to Newcastle and winning is what Arsenal need to do if they want to win the title.
Robbie talks about making chances. Are they making enough chances with the talent they have in that team? It doesn't strike me as Victor Gyökeres is missing a ton. He's just not getting a lot.
Yeah, they're not, but that doesn't worry me. I think this team has the quality to continue to create chances. I think today's a good game. You mentioned it a little bit. Newcastle can be on the front foot. They press, they try and get you in between lines, and they try and turn you over, and Arsenal's going to want the ball, and they're going to take it, and they'll play through those lines.
And the best creative players are all getting fitter now, so I think, you know, the players behind Gyökeres are starting getting better, and he'll have more looks at goal.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host of NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long, and for even more Premier League content from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock.